So, you've got an amazing product. You even know who your customer is. But how do they actually get from being a total stranger to a paying customer? Well, let's dive into that. We're going to map the entire process of customer acquisition. And trust me, this is way more than just sales. It's about understanding the entire journey from their perspective. You know, every entrepreneur has this dream, right? It's that field of dreams myth. If you build it, they will come. You create something so brilliant, so game-changing, that customers are just going to line up throwing money at you. Sales will just take off like a rocket from day one. It's a really nice thought, isn't it? But here comes the cold, hard reality check. It almost never works that way, especially when you're selling to other businesses. See, customers, even the ones who are super excited about your product, they have procedures. They've got budgets, they've got bosses, they've got regulations to follow. The path to actually buying something is a process, and that process, it takes time. Okay, so if you can't rely on magic, you're going to need a map. And understanding this process isn't just, a helpful little exercise. It is an absolute lifeline for your new venture. Let's break down exactly why this map is so incredibly critical. Think of this map as a powerful business tool. For one, it helps you actually predict your sales cycle, like how long does it really take to close a deal? Second, it's the bedrock for figuring out your cost of customer acquisition, what we call COCA. Third, and this is a big one, it uncovers all those nasty hidden surprises, like regulations you didn't even know existed. And finally, it shows investors that you've done your homework, that you get how your market really works. And here's a sobering truth that every single founder needs to internalize. Whatever you think it's going to cost to get a new customer, it's probably more, a lot more. This isn't about being pessimistic, it's just being realistic. Mapping everything out forces you to face these costs head on, instead of getting blindsided by them down the road. Okay, so we know why we need the map. Now let's get into what we're actually charting. What does this journey even look like from the customer's point of view? To put it simply, the customer acquisition process is everything, literally everything that happens between the moment a potential customer first hears about you and the moment their money actually hits your bank account. It's the whole shebang, the entire sequence of events that turns a curious lead into cold, hard revenue. So from a high level, the journey often looks something like this. It all kicks off with lead generation, just making people aware you exist. Then you've got to get access to the influencers inside their company. After that, the customer does their own homework, their own pre-purchase planning. Then, finally, they make the purchase. And you're still not done. You've got to deal with installation and, most importantly, getting paid. Each of these stages has its own timeline and its own potential traps. So how do we actually build this thing? How do you create your own custom map? Well, it all starts by asking some very specific, very practical questions. This is where all the theory turns into your real-world action plan. First things first, awareness. How does a customer who desperately needs your solution even know you're out there? Is it going to be through Google Ads, trade shows, word of mouth, a sales team pounding the pavement? You have to nail down that very first point of contact. All right, so they know about you. Now what? How do they evaluate you? How do they kick the tires? Do they need a free trial, a detailed demo, maybe a super technical white paper, or just some solid customer reviews? This is the consideration phase, and you've got to give them the right tools to make their decision. Now for the nuts and bolts, the logistics. Do they just download it from an app store? Do you have to ship them a physical box? Does a sales rep need to show up with a contract for them to sign? The actual mechanics of the transaction are a crucial part of your map. And finally, maybe the most critical question of all, how will they pay for it? Is it a simple credit card swipe, or is it a complicated invoice with 60-day payment terms that has to snake its way through their procurement department? That difference is massive, because the payment process alone can add months to your sales cycle if you're not ready for it. And this right here brilliantly illustrates a super critical detail you have to know. Where's the money coming from? Is it from an operating budget? The money they use for day-to-day expenses? That's usually a much simpler, faster approval process. Or does it have to come from a capital budget for big, long-term investments? That path is often way longer, with tons more approvals and hoops to jump through. Knowing the difference is a game changer. So as you're mapping this all out, you've got to layer in these other critical factors. Like, who are the key players in what's called the decision-making unit? The group of people who actually have to sign off on the purchase. What's their actual budget authority? Are there any weird government regulations or internal company rules you have to comply with? Any one of these can be a major roadblock. Now, for every single step you've identified, you need to attach a time estimate. How long is this going to take? What needs to happen before this step can even start? Can some things happen at the same time? And always, always build in a buffer for delays. Then, once you have a draft of your timeline, go test it. Ask people in the industry if your assumptions are even remotely realistic. Okay, deep breath. You've done all this hard work. You've asked the tough questions. You've built this incredibly detailed map. So, what now? Well, this map isn't just a document, it's your strategic advantage. It's your secret weapon. The ultimate goal here is simple. It's to find ways to shorten your sales cycle. A good map shows you all the twists and turns, all the bottlenecks, so you can figure out how to straighten the path. You're trying to find the fastest, most efficient route from that first hello to getting paid. And here is a fantastic, concrete example of this strategy in action. Let's say you do your research, you use your map, and you discover that a department manager can approve any purchase under $5,000 on their own, no questions asked. Well, what if you price your product at $4,999? Bam! You just eliminated multiple layers of bureaucracy and senior management from the process. That one simple decision, totally informed by your map, could shrink your sales cycle from months down to just weeks. That can literally be the difference between success and failure. And look, I get it. This whole process of mapping can feel overwhelming. You might end up looking a little bit like this dazed guy on the screen. But the real danger isn't the complexity of the map. The real danger is trying to navigate this incredibly treacherous landscape completely blind. So I leave you with this one question to really think about. Look at your own business. What is the single biggest assumption you're making right now about how a customer will find, evaluate, and pay for your product? Because finding that one assumption and testing it, well, that might just be the most important thing you do all week.